Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We were busy with the hadith yesterday. Can you put here? You can just indicate if you can hear, inshallah. How's the house today? No problems. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulil kareem. We were discussing the hadith yesterday. That the hadith says that Allah Ta'ala punishes the person that he sees because of the excessive crying of the bereaved. Just before we carry on, just must we read the hadith again? You remember the hadith? When Abdullah ibn Umar قال اشتكى سعد بن عبادة شكوى له فأتاه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يعود مع عبد الرحمن بن عوف وسعد بن وقاص عبد الله بن مسعود فلما دخل عليه وجده في غاش فقال قضي قالوا لا يا رسول الله فبكى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فلما رأى القوم بكاء النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بكوا فقال ألا تسمعون أن الله لا يعذب بدمع الحزن بدمع العين ولا بحسن القلب ولكن يعذب بهذا وأشار إلى لسانه أو يرحم right وإن الميت لا يعذب وإن الميت يعذب ببكاء أهله عليهم. So the essence of that hadith which we discussed yesterday is that the natural tabi'i sadness and grief a person feels at the passing away of a close one, that is not blameworthy. You will not be punished for that. But what is we told you is when two things. One is you object to the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why my spouse, why my child, is there so many other people, why Allah ta'ala never take them away. That's one. And the other one is I told you in Jahiliyyah, it was like how you have, it's like a point of pride that when you pass away, you must be sorely missed. People must really miss you. They must cry for you. They must wail for you. They must pull out their hair. They must tear their pockets, etc. And I told you also in Jahiliyyah, pre-Islam, you would actually like how you hire people to do things. You would hire somebody, a wailer, Wailer, or a mourner that must scream and cry on you. Right? So the more people scream for you, the more people cry for you, then it's like a sign of honor and a sign of respect. Are you with me? So there are many hadith that speak about that the وَإِنَّ الْمَيْتَ يُعَذَّبُ بِبُكَاءِ أَهْلِهِ عَلَيْهِ. So remember, this does not refer to the natural tabi'i grief that a person expresses, the natural tears that flows from your eyes. So so we know in Islam also the overarching principle is that one person cannot be punished because of the misdeed of another person, right? That if you done something wrong, you're responsible for what you done wrong. You can't be responsible for what somebody else done, right? So if a person has passed away and then his family engages in these actions, like what they employ somebody to warn, to mourn, wail, scream, etc., etc. Though, like in some cultures, certain things are a point of pride. Like I know, if you look at our local indigenous people here in South Africa, for them, like to have a big fancy funeral, to have a smart hearse, to have a smart coffin, and all that type of thing, that is a point of source of pride for them, isn't it? That's why they pay their whole life for that, right? So the Yami Jahiliyyah, it was a source of pride. So coming back to this here, the overarching principle in Islam is وَلَا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةُ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى, that nobody will carry the burden of the next person. So how do we make sense of this? That the deceased must be punished because of the wailing, the mourning, and the crying of his family. As Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu ta'ala says that this hadith of وَإِنَّ الْمَيْتَ يُعَذَّبُ بِبُكَاءِ أَهْلِهِ, it refers to a particular incident once there was a Jew lady that passed away, and then her family, they were crying around her. They were crying around her. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came and said that the maid is being punished because of these people's crying. So there the answer is pretty simple that look, she's a non-Muslim, the Jewess was a non-Muslim, and obviously she is being punished in the grave. Allah Ta'ala protect us. Allah Ta'ala protect our iman. So as Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu ta'ala says that this um, is not a general principle, but rather it referred to this particular context. It referred to this particular context, right? Um, and she even said that as Ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala misunderstood, he made it general, but it's not general, but it referred to a particular context. But then the Shareef here says that if you look, you will see that this hadith has been mentioned many times. Okay, it's clear, alhamdulillah. This hadith hasn't been mentioned only in this context. It has been mentioned many times. It is general, right? In fact, this isn't only the statement of the Umar radiallahu ta'ala. No. There are many Sahaba Ikram that made this. Like here, even here, this who was a Sahabi here? It was Abdullah ibn Umar. Okay, so they say there's another statement also. Atabki alayya. Are you crying for me? وقد قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الميت لا يؤذب ببكاء أهله عليه. So all the signs are that this is not for a waqi'a juz'iyya, but rather it is waqi'a amma. So some ulama say what this refer to is when the mayyit, he makes a bequest that when I pass away, I want you people to cry for so many days. Or when I pass away, you must employ so many ladies to cry for me, etc., etc. So then it doesn't go against the principle wala tazir wazira to wizra ukhra, because he's employing them himself, and he is what you call it thing. He is it's his action. It's not his family's action. So I told you it was like a point of pride. That's why there is there's a poem from Ayami Jahiliya. إذا مت فنعي بما أنا أهله. There's a poem that shows this was the mindset. When I pass away, فنعيني. إذا مت فنعيني. When I pass away, then mourn me. بما أنا أهله. With that which I'm worthy of. وشقي علي الجيبة. And tear upon me, for my sake, your pockets. يبنة معبد أو daughter of معبد. إلى الحول. For 1 whole year you must do this. ثم اسم السلام عليكم وما يبقي حولا كعب فقد اعتذر. And that person who has cried for a whole year for me, when he's excused, he's done his duty. So you can see that's what's their mindset. You must get people to cry for you. And another explanation is this here. If the maid knows that this custom is prevalent in my family, when somebody passes away, then people will cry a lot. They will cry a lot. And he doesn't coach them, and they will do this, this haram crime, which I told you, where you wail, mourn, scream, beat yourself, and all that type of thing. You know they're going to do this. Then he doesn't caution them. He doesn't say, look here, when I die, I don't want you people to do this haram crying, etc., etc. In other words, he's complicit in it. What is he? Complicit in it. And another interesting explanation is this here. They say that, like, normally what they would do is when you get these wailers or these mourners, they would say that this person was such a good person. And in Arabic, they also say, wa jabala. Jabal means mountain. So when a person passes away, then the wailers and the mourners, they'll scream by the grave, look, man, wa jabala. Oh, this was such a great person. It was like a mountain, right? So it's mentioned here, what is that the angels will hit him and say, oh, were you really like a mountain? You were not even close to a mountain. Means like a person of honor, integrity, a person of piety, etc. So they will whack him and say, "Oh, were you really a mountain? Were you really a mountain? Right? Were you really a mountain? You were not even a Muslim, you're a kafir," and they will whack him and say, like, how somebody said this person is such a good person, you told him, oh, so you're the one. But it's not really like that. You understand what I'm saying? That's another explanation. Okay, read the next hadith. You read, what's your name? Yusuf? Musa, read.
الله الرحمن الرحيم. وعن عبد الله بن مسعود رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ليس منا من ضرب الخدود وشق الجيوب ودعا بدعوى الجاهلية.
Right, ودعا بدعوى الجاهلية متفق عليه. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Narrating the authority of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he said, Rasulullah said that ليس منا, this is not from amongst us, من ضرب الخدود, that hits his cheeks, smacks his cheeks, right? وَشَقَّ الْجُيُوبَ, and he tears his pockets. وَدَعَا بِدَعْوَى الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ, and he calls out with the calling of ignorance, like, to make the calls of ignorance, like I told you, saying like you excessively praise the person when the person is not even worthy of that, etc., etc. So we discussed that to this false pretense of crying, etc., and just putting up a show because you consider it to be a sign of honor for the deceased, etc., that is not on. But the tabi'i, the natural grief you experience, obviously that you can't control, that is proven, right? Then laysa minna, and not from amongst us. This is not taken in the literal sense that this person is not a Muslim, because we know, I told you, that according to Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, a person does not come out of the all of Islam by committing big sins, murtaki bi kaba'ir, right? So yes, according to the Mu'tazilats, according to the Khawarij, etc., etc., when a person commits a big sin, he comes out of the fold of Islam. So according to us, such a person will not come out of the fold of Islam, but rather means this is not from our way. This is not from our way, right? That's what it means, right? Okay, read the next one.
رضي الله عنه قال أغمي على أبي موسى فأقبلت امرأته.
You don't have على أبي موسى الأشعري. Okay.
فأقبلت امرأته أم عبد الله تسيح بغنة ثم أخاف فقال ألم تعلمي، وكان يحدثها أن رسول الله
صلى الله عليه وسلم
قال أنا بريء من حلق وصلق وخلق متفق عليه ولا يكون مسلم.
Right. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wa an Abi Burdata, narrating the authority of Abi Burda, I said, Ughmiya ala Abi Musa al-Ashari. That is Abu Musa al-Ashari. Ughmiya means he fell unconscious, right? فَأَقْبَلَتِ مُرْأَتُهُ. So his wife came, she thought maybe he passed away. Abdullah tasihu, crying, birannatin. Rannatin means like Rannatin is like the style of Jahiliyyah, like how you scream and it's right. So ثم أفاق, but he hadn't passed away, then he regained consciousness. فقال ألم تعلمي. She said, do you not know? وكان يحدثها, and he was speaking to her. He said, أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Rasul said, I'm free from these actions of Jahiliyyah which people do. Halaqa means, halaqa literally means to shave your hair. But in this context, what I mean is they would actually pull their hair out, like, like how in grief they pull their hair out. Was salaqa? Salaqa means to scream uncontrollably. Wa kharaqa, to tear your clothes. So I don't know, you must have seen that the Shia still today, they do matam. Matam is where they still mourn the demise of Hazrat Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu. They beat themselves, they slap themselves and all that type of thing, and they actually cut themselves, and they beat themselves with chains. I'm sure you must have seen that, right? So yeah, this hadith is a clear proof. This hadith is a clear proof that this is not acceptable. It's not in Islam. Yes, the natural tab'i grief.
الطعن في الاقتصاد والإحصاء في النجوم والنياحة
Okay.
وقال النائحة إذا لم تتب قبل موتها تقام يوم القيامة وعليها سربال مثل قطران ودرع من جرب.
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وعن أبي مالك الأشعري رأيت an authority of Malik al-Ash'ari قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم said أربعة في أمتي من أمر الجاهلية. Four things that is found in my ummah. On the maybe the Nabi is predicting that is not now in the ummah but will be found in my ummah. أربعة في أمتي من أمر الجاهلية. It is from the acts of jahiliyah. It is from the days of ignorance. لا يتركوهن. They don't want to leave it, right? Al-fakhru fil ahsabi. Pride with regards to your position, right? Wa-ta'nu fil ansabi. And to taunt somebody with regards to their nasab, right? That you are from such and such a, you are from such and such a place, maybe from certain village, right? Wal istisqa'u bin nujumi, and to seek rain through the stars. One niyahatu, and niyaha, which is I told you this morning and etc. Right? Mourning, which they do as a false pretense. وقال الناحية, and he said الناحية, right? That the woman that does this, she does this as a profession, that she will scream for a fee, or she will cry or wail for a fee. إذا لم تتب قبل موتها, if she don't make tawbah from this action, تقام يوم القيامة, she will be made to stand at the day of Qiyamah. وعليها سروال من قطران, upon her will be like clothes, a sheet of qatiran, burning tar, وَدِرْعٌ مِّن جَرَبٍ, or a top. So sirwar refer to the bottom garment, and dir'un refer to the top garment, right? Jarabin, something that will make him itch. I thought ahsab is the jama of hasab. So it is ahsab normally refer to such sifa that we as human beings, we consider him to be a source of pride. Certain things which people listen nicely, people consider themselves to be better than other people. Not what Allah Ta'ala considered, because Allah Ta'ala there's only one thing. What is it? Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. By Allah Ta'ala, the most God-fearing person, that is the best person. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. But what people consider to be better, like fasahat, to be able to speak very eloquently, to brave, or you come from a certain, okay, that comes from the next one actually, but this is like qualities. So qualities that people consider to be a source of pride. That is al-fakhru fil ahsabi. Wa-ta'nu fil ansabi, sorry, not fil ansab, fil ansabi, what they seen, yeah, right?
So there's the thing. And now you must follow through. That means the mind must go change and because you know. So follow through is the common thing. Follow through on what is the plan.
So yeah, nasab refer to with regards to a person's lineage. This is also very common in India, like you come from this village, or you come from that village, or here maybe you say you are, like remember that incident of Abu Dhar al-Ghafari, he referred to as Bilal, Ya Bana Sauda, O son of the black man, how annoyed Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam became so angry and so annoyed at him. So you fault somebody because of their lineage, right? That's nasab. Al-istisqa'u bin nujumi. We know Allah Ta'ala, inna Allah huwa razzaqu. Allah Ta'ala is the one who gives the rizq. وَفِي السَّمَاءِ رِزْقُكُمْ وَمَا تُوعَدُونَ. And in the skies means Allah Ta'ala is a controller of your rizq, etc. Allah Ta'ala sends the rains. وَمَا تَسْقُطُ مِنْ وَرَقَةٍ إِلَّا يَعْلَمُهَا. And no drop of rain falls except that Allah Ta'ala knows about it, etc. But to believe that the stars are in control of the rain, and like nowadays also, I know you get this horoscopes. You know, you believe if you're born between a certain month and you are assigned to a certain star, etc. Then that determines your fate, whether you're going to be lucky or you're not going to be lucky, or whether you're going to have some ill luck or you're going to have some good fortune. All so this was maybe in the time of Nabi Sallam. This is how the people who study the stars, and through the stars they'll try to tell the future, etc., etc. So today this is just a modern form of the same Jahiliyyah. It's just a modern interpretation of the same Jahiliyyah. Allah Ta'ala is the one who's in control. وَمَا تَسْقُطُ مِنْ وَرَقَةٍ إِلَّا يَعْلَمُهَا وَلَا حَبَّةٍ فِي ظُلُمَاتِ الْأَرْضِ وَلَا رَطْبٍ وَلَا يَابِسٍ إِلَّا فِي كِتَابٍ مُبِينٍ. And I was telling you, An-Nahiya, remember I was telling you about where you hire a lady to scream, cry, you take her upon ujrat, right? Hire, they was you, so you, like how you get, this was like a profession, like how you get a person that does a profession, this was their profession, they could scream, etc. And they would like make up false praises for deceased. Oh, what a great loss. What a such a pious person, such a generous person, such a kind person, etc. etc. And she would cry and she'd make other people cry. Right? So that so if this woman doesn't make tawbah from this profession, then obviously she will be given this punishment. Qatiran. Qatiran actually refers to a tree. It refers to something which is a tree that gives off a, in the Quran this will also come in the qatirani wa taghsha wujuhahum an-nar, isn't it? Just check it, check the dictionary there. But here in the Shara it says like it's a type of a tree. It gives off, and it's a very flammable also. It's like a dry type of a tree. And normally also this is used for the camels when they have a type of a rash. So this qatiran, like I told you, is also like a type of a tar type of a thing. Huh? Yeah, okay, also like a tar, they say. So if this Nahia lady doesn't make tawbah, then this will be a punishment. Like I told you, the Quran is mentioned. وَلِبَاسُهُ مِنْ قَطِرَانِ وَتَخْشَى وُجُوهَهُمُ النَّارِ. وَلِبَاسُهُ مِنْ قَطِرَانِ, and his clothes will be from the star coal. وَتَخْشَى وُجُوهَهُمُ النَّارِ, and the fire will cover their faces. Allah Ta'ala protect us. Read the next one.
قال مر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بامرأة تبكي عند الفرد فقال اتق الله واصبري قالت إليك عنها فإنك لا تصب بمصيبتي
ولم تعرف فقيل لها إنه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وأتت باب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم
فأتت باب on the right side.
أن تجد عنده توابين فقالت لم أعرفك فقال إنما الصبر إذا صدق متفق عليه.
Right, okay, there's a beautiful hadith here. When Anas narrate the authority of Anas, Marra Nabi Salsam bi Imra'atin, Nabi Sam passed by a woman, tabki in the qabr, and she was crying by the qabr. فقال اتق الله في Allah Ta'ala wasbiri and make sabr. So probably maybe from what it appears, it's not mentioned here, but it appears like remember I told you the natural grief is natural. So that Nabi Sam wasn't cautioning her against it. Or maybe she was not doing anything wrong, but it was just a general advice. Either she was wailing uncontrollably, which is not acceptable in Islam, or maybe it was a normal like grief. But so Nabi was just giving general advice, right? So Nabi said, "Ittaqillaha fi Allah Taala wasbiri, exercise patience." But ilayka anni, said ilayka anni, little to you from me. But what it means like go away from me, away from me. So she was so consumed by her grief, she didn't realize who was speaking to her. She didn't realize, right? So she said, فَإِنَّكَ لَمْ تُصَبْ بِمُصِيبَتِي. You haven't been afflicted with my affliction. In other words, you don't know what I'm going through. Maybe a son or a husband, whatever. You don't know. We were very, very close, right? وَلَمْ تَعْرِفُ. She didn't recognize Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. فَقِيلَ لَهَا. Then after said, إِنَّهَا النَّبِيُّ صلى الله عليه وسلم. Do you know who you spoke to like that? You spoke to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. فَأَتَتْ بَابَ النَّبِيِّ صلى الله عليه وسلم. So she wanted to apologize for her impolite behavior. She came to the door of the Muslim. فَلَمْ تَجِدْ إِنْدَهُ بَوَّابِينَ. She didn't find any doorman there. I mean, the Nabi was a simple person despite his lofty rank, despite his status. He was a simple person. فَقَالَتْ لَمْ أَعْرِفْكَ. I did not recognize you, Ya Rasulullah. فَقَالَ إِنَّمَا الصَّبْرُ إِنَّ الصَّدْمَةِ الْعُولَى. And this is the golden words. The sabr is at the first affliction. Yes, with the passage of time, the grief dissipates, the grief gets lesser, 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 lesser. But at that point in time, when the calamity is struck, at that time to be composed, and at that time to show uh, sabr, and at that time to put trust and faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is the one that is attracts the reward of Allah ta'ala. So I told you she was maybe consumed by her grief. And Nabi Sallam was passing by when he gave some advice. That's why she said, Ilayka anni, you go away from me. So when she obviously realized who she spoke to,
You start with
okay, let's stop there, inshallah. Nazim, we will continue tomorrow, inshallah.